Master Mage, Season 1, Episode 18. After Fang had cured the dog by using dark magic in the previous video, the little dog became a zombie. Eventually, the other life-taken danger was coming to the house. There was a group of people with the hat on who had gathered around their house. Master Jackie knew that they were not people and didn't just randomly came to their place. They must have been related to the sacrifice Fang had made earlier. Master Jackie angrily asked Fang how he had learned that kind of sacrifice. Fang had to spill the beans. He said he had hidden Jin's notebook earlier and read all of the techniques from there. Master Jackie even got angrier after hearing that. How dare Fang could use dark magics without his permission? How narrow Fang was. He had recalled Jin's comrades all the way there eventually. Indeed, while Fang took the sacrifice, he had opened the door of hell and paved the way for Jin's comrades to get there. It was useless to blame Fang for what he had done. The top most important thing to Master Jackie was handling those zombies in front of them. Fang was too confused about what comrades meant, but seeing the serious situation they were in at the moment, he knew that everything was probably the consequences of what he had done. He had to be well geared up and help his master out. They had surrounded the walls regarding the zombies and stared at the two of them with their scary faces. Weirdly, they didn't seem to attack Master Jackie and Fang instantly. They were waiting for something. They were standing at their positions, frozen and snarled as the angry wild animals in front of their graze. Out of the blue, one of them screamed out. That must have been the leader. After the scream, they were all plunged into Master Jackie and Fang. Fang had experienced acquiring zombies earlier with his master. Still, when they got outnumbered, there were a bunch of zombies in front of them. It was understandable for them to get a little frightening. Anyways, it was no use for them to be frightened. All of the zombies had plunged into the Master and Fang. They needed to try their best to defend. Master Jackie carefully eyed them and examined exactly who was going to come to him. He used the magic string, turned around, and threw over. The pennies in the string flew towards the zombie and hit the mouth, then flew out from the zombie's head. Fang was right next to his master and put his guard up already. He used his wooden sword, which had been covered by some of his blood as his master told. The zombies could not reconnect their body's parts, so it would be easy for him to cut them out. Seeing the ignorant Fang after taking down one of the zombies, the great master had reminded him that he should not put his guard down. To stay safe, Fang had to stay focusing and remember that they were outnumbering. Fang replied that he would keep that in mind. The two of them moved around and fought those zombies. Fortunately, those zombies did not have any special abilities. It didn't take too much effort for Master Jackie and Fang to take down those zombies. After a while, Master Jackie realized that there must have been something off. He remembered the day he had come to New Bach Van Nobel's place where he faced the two zombies who had been scared out by pure blood. The zombies in front of them were all hit by pure blood, but those cut out parts were still moving. That was the difference. Master Jackie assured that another blood had run within them. He reminded Fang that the group of zombies in front of them were not as same as the earlier zombies they had defeated. Fang better took more careful. Out of the blue, there was an amazing sound at the gate. While they were busy with the group of zombies on the rooftop, a masked man had stood there watching them. He stared at them and mocked them up. He smiled. That was all Mao Sun's apprentices have. He looked like an exorcist with his blue coat and bun hairstyle. Master Jackie and Fang were unable to know who that man was clearly because of the mask. Hearing just the voice, Fang was not sure how old the exorcist was. Still, surely that man was so unrespectful. Fang yelled at that man. How he showed no respect to the great master. he should take back what he had spitted out and took off his mask, then bowed down in front of the great master. Master Jackie stopped Fang right there. He realized the odd thing already. He was sure that the masked man must have been controlling the group of zombies. He guessed that man was an apprentice of Jin and was about to take back Jin's notebook which had been keeping by Fang. To be sure his guess was right, Master Jackie came closer towards the masked man and confronted him directly. The exorcist showed his hand and looked down at them. He said he should return the notebook if Master Jackie had read the scene. The notebook was not belonging to them. That was the time to return it to where it belonged. Master Jackie explained to the exorcist that he should not use the notebook for cultivation. It was all about dark magics and hurt people. Eventually, he would hurt himself. The great master wanted to destroy the notebook rather than handed the book to the man. That was the right solution at the moment. But the exorcist didn't seem to take Master Jackie's words. From what we could see, the exorcist had used dark magic to train his zombies, so he was definitely not a good person. He was about to retrieve his master's notebook at all cost. Who knows what was about to happen if the exorcist had the notebook? How Master Jackie was unable to let it happen. One side wanted to retrieve his master's belongings, another side wanted to burn it to dust, and so a fight was going to happen. The exorcist jumped down into the ground. Fang bravely stood in the between to cover his master. Master Jackie reminded him to look under his feet carefully. Fang looked into the ground and got in a panic already. Fang had too focused on the zombies to realize that he had stepped into a bunch of maggots that had come from the head zombie's body parts. Some of them were even nailing in his legs. Those maggots sent a shiver down Fang's spine. He quickly dusted off those maggots from his legs while the exorcist came close up to Fang's face. The exorcist wanted to end up Master Jackie first, but Fang had stood in the between. Seeing Fang was in danger, Master Jackie pushed him aside strongly. Master Jackie was not well prepared for his own safety. The dark exorcist flew up to the master and brought a very strong breeze power along to attack. Master Jackie got a severe hit to the shoulder accidentally. Seeing the master hit, no matter how many larvae were still in the legs, Fang quickly ran towards his master to check him out. Master Jackie angrily looked at the exorcist and replied to Fang that he was fine. But eventually, the great master felt unwell in the chest and sprayed a lot of black blood out of his mouth. He realized that he had got spelled by the black magic already. He must have been careless enough to get hit by the spell. That drove him mad. The exorcist was way more dangerous than he thought. Seeing the great master had been spilled out the black blood, the exorcist swaggeringly spoke up how weak the great master was and how Master Jackie was going to keep his master's notebook with that weakness. Fang could not hold his temper. He felt guilty for his master's injury. He dedicated himself to teaching the exorcist a lesson. Fang held his sword tightly in his hands and threw it towards the exorcist. Master Jackie knew very well that the exorcist was not easy to deal with. Seeing the out-of-tempered Fang, he wanted to stop him, but he was a little late. Fang came in front of the exorcist's face already. Fang was very angry. He wanted to cut the exorcist into pieces with his magic sword. Just putting up the sword, Fang saw that all of those on the ground zombies had stood up and wanted to stop him. Fang tried to stay away from those zombies, put all of his strength into the sword, and then plunged towards the exorcist. But just a light turn, the exorcist was able to dodge Fang's attack and even gave Fang a knock on his shoulder. That was just a slight move, but Fang fell towards the ground. Fang fell into the door gate and made a loud sound. His nose got bleeding, his face got some bruises. Fang was in a panic. How the exorcist could make him fell to the ground like that.